Welcome to Around Town and happy holidays as we're now into the holiday season. I'm your host, Dick Patten. It's a pleasure to welcome you back as we're now getting our Christmas trees decorated, our holly put around the homes, and haven't seen the mistletoe ball yet, but who knows, you know. But here we are in the holiday season. With me today is our police chief, Brad Osgood, and it's a pleasure having him back on. And well, you must have survived Thanksgiving, so you're here, and I guess you didn't put too much weight on like some of us did, or may have.
Nope. Had a good Thanksgiving with the family, and actually had to run a road race in the morning.
Oh, sure. You almost say it.
Yeah, my kids roped me into that, and yep, getting older.
Oh,
Takes a lot longer to recover.
Yeah, I know, you're so old. I don't know how you guys do it, or gals do it, as road races. Boy, they have them almost every weekend somewhere, you know, but...
It's, the road races, you're absolutely right, all over the state. They're very, very popular. The one that I participated in on Thanksgiving morning, there was over 1,300 people there. It's really amazing. It's a nice setting, and I think it's good for people's health to get out and either jog or walk or run. I kind of do the jog.
Well, it's funny you mention that now about these road races. For years, even in New Hampshire, high schools were having their annual turkey bowl or whatever bowl they wanted to call it.
Right.
But if you notice it, if you read the papers like the sports like I do, it's almost like my second Bible. But if you read it, they're getting to be less and less of having a bowl game on Thanksgiving morning.
Yeah, because football season for the high schools really wind down.
A couple weeks before.
Several weeks before.
Unless you're a championship game. But
right.
Yeah, you're right. Like I think the season ended like the second Saturday in November for some of them, or
right.
First Saturday in November.
And probably a lot of the winter sports are kicking in. So
basketball and hockey.
Yeah. So.
And I was watching it because I was even looking at Channel 9 had pictures of those in the stands, and the games that they featured, it was like, hardly anybody there. So I'm wondering if that's going to be a thing of the past, because for years they tried to get Concord High and Brady to have a Turkey Day game. Then that didn't work, so they tried Bow and Brady, and that didn't work either. So they finally gave up on it. I said for years I'd like to see an all Concord basketball tournament, maybe instead over the holidays, say Concord High, Brady, Concord Christian, Trinity High School, Trinity over here on Fulton Street, Merrimack Valley, and maybe Bow, something like that. But that didn't wash. Some of them kind of turned their noses up when you mentioned the Christian schools in a tournament. But still, I think it'd be nice to have all the Concord schools, high schools in there.
Yeah.
So what if they're Class S or Class
I think they do something similar to that, probably right around Christmas with the hockey. Don't they have like a jamboree with Brady and Concord and Bow?
Well, yeah, they do that, but not, most of those other schools I mentioned don't have hockey teams.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have a hockey tournament, and Concord still has a basketball tournament, I think. But they only have like Pembroke and Concord and Merrimack Valley and maybe once in a while Hopkinton. But I don't know. I just feel like that basketball seems to be one sport that takes in all the schools. But anyway, enough of that. You're here in police business.
Sure.
But it's nice to talk sports, so I'm like my old teacher in high school. I don't know if you remember the name Frank Monahan. He was coach at Bishop Brady, basketball coach for years. And then he came to Concord High for a little bit. I had him in school for accounting. And I'm telling you, all you had to do was to get him talking on sports or basketball, and you could forget about the class. He almost could get an A in it because he didn't care. That's how he felt. But then he died a few years later after having a heart attack, and he was just such a nice guy. Oh, he was a nice guy. But anyway, so what's going on? I assume now, when I was dispatching years ago, the holidays, and I should say the winter holiday season, not so much the summer holidays, but the winter holiday season it was disgusting, because between Thanksgiving, not so much New Year's Eve, but Thanksgiving and Christmas, domestics like crazy, especially where kids were involved. You'd get a phone call on Christmas Eve from the mother or the father saying, "I have my paperwork. I'm supposed to have my child at 6 o'clock on Christmas Eve until tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, and I can't. They won't turn him over to me." Or the wife saying, "Well, he's supposed to have him back here at 6 o'clock, and he hasn't brought him back yet. Go arrest him." That used to. I remember getting that a lot in Pittsfield, Bosquen a little bit once in a while, especially Lower Bosquen, and I don't remember too much in Loudon and Canterbury, those towns, but definitely Pittsfield and the other one I mentioned, Lower Bosquen. But do you still get that at all?
Yeah, we do. Domestics, are a prevalent problem, throughout the year. But yeah, we experience them during the holiday season. And you're right, it is an emotional time, because people that are divorced or separated have children. Usually, there might be orders where, one spouse gets the children on Thanksgiving, the other spouse gets them on Christmas, and it switches the following year. So, yeah, it's a sad time when your family's away from you during a holiday. Your children are away, so yeah, those types of tensions do flare up every once in a while.
It's sad because the child is actually like a ping pong ball, and they're standing there looking, and it's not there. And the first thing on their mind is, Santa's not going to know where I am, and it's sad.
Yeah.
Because it's the kids that really get the brunt of it. The adults don't. You could stand there and argue. But get the kids, and it's so sad. And I almost want to say, grow up. It's so, because the kids, well, my presents are all over here, so what do? Do you arrest them and take them in, or do you, it's sad, but I wondered if that's what your officers face now, like we used to have, my guys used to face.
No, we still do. You would think that, Christmas Day, the day shift on patrol would be one of the quietest shifts, or Christmas Eve would be one of the quietest shifts, but in reality, it's not.
No.
So,
no.
Christmas Day brings, and Christmas Eve brings a whole bunch of other things, because even though a lot of the stores are now closed on Christmas Eve, people are out traveling.
Yes.
And when people are out traveling, there are accidents and, moving violations and people that are driving that shouldn't be driving. So a lot of stuff happens between Christmas Eve and throughout Christmas
But
Day.
officer, I only had one stubby. That's all I've had. You can see right here, that's how big I had.
Yeah.
I'm not loaded. I just had one stub, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then you get them out of the car and about coming in. But I've seen that so many times. But I heard a comment years ago that Christmas Eve was the worst night for drinking and partying than New Year's Eve. Of the 2 days, Christmas Eve was the worst. And I found that hard to believe. But as you just said, people going from party to party to party, and what's the first thing they might offer? Have a drink. It just amazes me, but it's true. I never thought that, because we didn't go anywhere anyway, but still. And my parents didn't drink, but we stayed home Christmas Eve. We didn't even go to church. But
yeah, well, that this year, Christmas Day falls on a Monday. Christmas Eve falls on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So really, one of your busier nights potentially could be Saturday the 23rd.
Yeah, you're right.
Because neighborhoods and extended family are having gatherings at their houses on Saturday,
Yeah.
whereas on Sunday you're more with your immediate family, and
Yep.
certainly on Christmas. So when we look at staffing and the potential for increased calls for service, Saturday night the 23rd is probably one of those.
You're right. I never thought of that. Yeah, you're right.
So as far as like when you study like this resource management, and, so you got to be prepared for that night as well.
Yeah, Sunday night might not be so busy. Maybe Sunday afternoon or whatever. But you're right. Saturday night could be the bigger night than Sunday
Right.
night. It is. It's a crazy thing because in the church, of course, we're ending Advent on Sunday morning or whatever, and starting the thing of Christmas on Christmas Eve on Sunday night, and it's crazy this year. But you are right, though. I mean, but they do, and even the restaurants. I've heard. I can remember when the Cat and the Fiddle was in business. Mary Ann, the wife there, the hostess, told us one time that they were busier on Christmas Eve than New Year's Eve, and I thought, how? I've been in New Year's Eve and there was always lines out the door, but she said that people go there Christmas Eve and they eat. It's busy.
People, I think we're all this way, but people have traditions. Whether or not it's they order takeout on New Year's Eve, or they have friends and family over on Christmas Eve, and they go someplace on Christmas Day. We all have traditions. It goes back to what you said about when children are separated from their parents. You're interrupting their traditions, and they traditionally have always had Christmas morning at this house, but it's disrupted now.
Yep.
And that's getting back to what you said. It's very sad. But I think by and large, we all have our own traditions. And we were talking about football, high school football games. I remember as a kid when I was, 7, 8 years old, 9 years old. That was our tradition. My father would take all the kids to the Nashua High Bishop Girton football game at Holman Stadium.
Yep.
We certainly didn't play football. We weren't even in high school at the time, but that was a tradition that we look forward to on Thanksgiving. So we all have these traditions, and we hope that next year we'll be able to carry that tradition forward.
Of course, for us, it was always watching Macy's parade. That was our tradition in our house. While my mother and grandmother would be my aunt would be getting dinner ready for noontime or 1 o'clock, and
see, that's where you got your expertise in parades, by watching that as a child.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, any JCs living are going to kill me if they hear this. But the reason why I joined the Concord JCs was because the Christmas parade, or that time they used to call it the Santa Claus parade, was such a mess. And I hate to say that because they did what they did at that time period. But it was always on the first Sunday of December. Not the Sunday after Thanksgiving, but the first Sunday in December. And the year that I had a float in it that year, and we formed down at the Capitol Shopping Center, and I couldn't believe what I saw. 3 floats, 2 vans, or actually 1.5, some horses, and a couple of fire trucks, and that was it. And I thought, gee. So they lowered the age to join the JCs, and Denny Malloy came in. I was working at Toll's Market, and Denny Malloy came in the store one day and said, hey Dick, he said, hey Richard, he said, how old are you? And I told him, he said, how would you like to join the JCs? And I said, I guess, what do they do? Well, anyway, he said, well, we need help with the Christmas parade, and we need help with this and that. And I said, yeah. So I joined, and the first thing they asked was, what would you like to work on? Christmas parade. And that's when I became in. That's when I got the committee. And you're right, probably watching it because it you know, it was just so sorrowful to see that happen. But now, after this year, the parade was so big again, although I had some notes, even though I passed the baton on to James Cassano, I will stay on as a liaison or a whatever for him. He's asked me, and I am more happy to. 46 years. Next year would be 47, but there were some notes I made. You know, we need to lessen, not have so many trucks in the parade. If they're going to be in there, put a decoration on it like I told them to. You know, and a few things. But it's hard getting bands on that third Saturday because, or that Saturday before Thanksgiving, because of the All-State rehearsals in Manchester. But you can't go the Saturday before because that's too close to Veterans Day. And someone said, we'll go the week before that. I said, no, that's way too early. That's right after Halloween, you know? And then if you, of course, you go the Saturday. We used to go the Saturday after Thanksgiving, but now the school boards have said no marching on holiday weekends. That's it. So that takes out Concord High, Merrimack Valley, Hillsborough, Deering, Belmont, all those bands. So then you go back to the first Saturday in December. And by that time, the bands are all have put away their marching bands, have put away their instruments. Now we've heard through the grapevine years ago, Concord High has gone to Exeter for their Christmas parade, but they got paid good bucks. But Exeter won't come up here unless they get $2,000 or more. And so it's really hard to get, and you need music. So that's one thing they're going to be discussing when we have our wrap-up meeting. I know your offices want them to shorten the parade route. How, I'll never know. But anyway, that's something up for discussion. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, what James is going to run into. And then the tree lighting this year was the most successful we ever had. I think there are probably close to several thousand people who are down there, between there and over to what I call it the King Shopping Center still, but by Best Buy, not Best Buy. Well, I'll call it Buffalo Wild Wings. But anyway, over in that area where the cornfield is, where they shoot the fireworks off, it was just loaded because the weather was perfect.
Right.
But I'm telling you, Chief, it was just, and I've passed the baton on somewhat there. I've been told that was a foolish move to make, but I need some time. My health is not good, and I'm not afraid to say it. I've got some issues I've got to take care of, but I don't know if I'm going to take care of them or not. But anyhow, it's just, and this year, the raising the funds, the tree was a major issue. I mean, Justin Spencer spent all that money and donated the lights. The city didn't like them, so I don't know. But anyway, you whistling at me, Ian, thank you. But anyway, your offices were good there. I saw them all around on the parade and also on the tree lighting at times. And, you know, everything was really good. You know, the weather was perfect. But now comes the holiday season. And of course, you haven't had it yet. But I can guarantee you, the first day we have well, I hate to say snowstorm. But the first time we get a couple of inches of snow, cars are going to have accidents like crazy. Well, I stopped, but he didn't stop, or she didn't. Oh, yeah, okay. Don't you live in New England? Don't you live in New Hampshire? This is winter, you know? But you always will get it. I can well imagine. Did we have last year, was the downtown already done all the way through the center of things? Was plowing, how did that work out for you guys at the... snow plowing and snow removal went pretty good the last 2 seasons downtown. You know, it's the smaller streets, the surrounding streets in the neighborhoods. You know, and even though the city of Concord, you know, got rid of the ordinance about no overnight parking, people have to exercise a great deal of common sense during the winter that if it's snowing out, you probably ought to find a place to go and
don't chance that that you didn't know that there was a snow ban.
Hmm.
Because as for all of the other people that are going to commute, if the plows can't clean a road,
Hmm.
it just makes life miserable for everybody for the next couple of days because it just turns to ice, and so we have to exercise some common sense during the winter.
When do you make the decision? Who makes the decision to close schools if the snow is?
Well, schools are closed by generally the superintendent's office.
They call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To have a snow ban in the city of Concord that no parking on the street is generally comes from the city manager by way of the general services director and the police and fire if they see anything. But the general services director pretty much calls the shots or recommends to the city manager those occasions.
I mean, when I was in school, I mean, again, it was back eons, but gosh, they would never call school unless it was 6 inches or more. Now, if it's 2 inches, they call school off, and it's like, man. And of course, KXL was the big one you listened to it for a radio station back those days. But now, how do you get the word out there so they know it? And and there's so many kids with cars now. You drive up there on Liberty Street or down up on not Center Street, Liberty and Pleasant, I guess. That's one of the streets there. There's cars everywhere.
Right.
Even past your station on School Street, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
School.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody can get by up there, up that hill. They're parked so.
Yeah, very, very busy neighborhood.
The homeless, has the shelter, when's that shelter going to open up?
Well, my understanding is that the cold weather shelter will open up in mid-January.
Oh, gosh. Why?
Well, they're actually doing construction on it right now. So
where's it going to be?
It's going to be right across from Friendly's on North Main Street.
That's the old Hasselhouse one.
Yes.
That's
right.
what I thought.
They're putting I don't want to say an addition, it's not attached, out in the back.
I've seen the equipment out there.
Yeah, and that's where it's going to be.
Oh, so that's where they're going to, okay.
I don't know if they have any, if there's any interim plans between, December 1st and that period of time. I don't know that yet.
Well, I mean, I can remember, boy, last year we had some cold nights in December.
It's cold out right now.
Yeah. Can you imagine anybody sleeping out in a tent in this mess?
No.
I went to church here a couple of weeks ago, and I walked in, and there was a guy sleeping in the first pew where I sit. And I got there early, it was like 3:30, and he was sound asleep. I sat down because I always sit in that first pew, and he woke up, looked around. I said, "You're in church." And he said, "Okay." Went back to sleep. Well, I said to somebody, there was a lady who normally sits next to me. She's an elderly lady. She wouldn't sit there because she was afraid of him. And finally he woke up, and he was from New Jersey, supposedly. And I said, "Where are you staying?" "Oh, I have a camper." I said, "Oh, well, that's nice." He said, must be fully heated. Well, finally, he admitted it was a tent that he's staying in. He's homeless, want to know where. I said, "Well, ask the priest here. Any churches will help you find housing or a place to stay for the night or whatever. There's no excuse to be sleeping out in this weather." And as soon as Mass was over, he took off. And he was middle-aged.
Yeah.
But I thought, oh my heavens. And it was cold.
Yeah, we see that, a lot of people from out of state that somehow landed in Concord, and we do our best to refer them to the Homeless Resource Center down at 238 North Main Street. They do a pretty good job at, trying to coordinate services for them.
Now, you've been in Concord how many years, Brad?
Coming up on 29.
Do you remember it Norman?
Yep.
Who was used to sleep in a sleeping bag underneath the parking garage down on Store Street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you remember him though.
Oh, yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd drive by there at night and you'd see somebody curled up inside that bag, and you'd wonder, my gosh, how is he surviving?
Yeah.
But he did.
Because at that time, I mean, I started in 1989, so 1989, 90, 91, that time period, when you worked the midnight shift during, especially during the winter, I mean, I remember the sergeant would come to roll call and tell the downtown cars just to check on him.
Yes, I remember hearing that.
And you knew where he was going to be,
Yeah.
and if he wasn't there, he was going to be someplace else. I mean, he had like 6 different locations, but yeah, that was our job, was to just go check on him. Sometimes he didn't like to be woken up, but we would check on him. But today, there's 30 or 40 Normans out there, or more.
Yep.
And that's kind of depressing.
Well, at that time you had Norman, you had Stella. Remember her, Stella?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Irene, another one. And the Elizabeth was another one. How I remember is because I'd be listening to the radio at night, especially on 4 to 12, and they'd be out there, and they would not go in anywhere. And Stella, she was the one that would spit at you.
Right.
She would spit right. It's like, oh, bro. Irene would go into some department store and then whatever, and that was it. And then she'd come out and you wouldn't find her. It's just too bad because, there's got to be someplace to go for them. But middle of January, that's late.
Yeah.
But anyhow, we're very lucky that we have places to sleep and food to eat and everything else, so kind of lucky blessing.
Right.
Well, I hope I'm going to see you before Christmas. I know, but if I don't, because Ian's going to be leaving here at the end of, well, we wouldn't be taping over Christmas anyway, but I hope I will see you before then. But if not, you have a safe holiday season, but
thank you. You too.
let's try to get you back in here before Christmas, okay?
Certainly.
Good. Well, you keep your officers safe out there, and tell them I'm all thinking, as long as I got you here too, your memorial at Blossom Hill, are you doing anything special up there again?
In the spring?
No, right now for holidays, for Christmas.
I don't believe so.
All right. As I told you before, I'm planning on doing a wreath up there.
Okay, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Well, I've been doing that for the last 3 or 4 years. And I think that's something I want to do, you and the fire department and the veterans, but I will be putting that up there sometime in another week or so.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, hey, we thank you. Like I said, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be out here sometimes. So with that in mind, thank you to my director, Ian Marx, and we hope you take it easy shopping out there as you're doing your merry ways, and keep it a safe and happy holiday season. I'm your host, Dick Patten. Have a good time. I'm going around town, so keep safe.